Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we are looking at game one of OKC Denver, one of the series we are all waiting for all season, I believe. We also have another episode up for the Monday game in the Eastern Conference. That's the Knicks and the Celtics. So make sure you are subbed to this channel. Continue to follow along with us all postseason, as we're going to be bringing you these videos for each and every game in a separate way so we can really break them down. But Nate, let's go ahead and jump right into things. We are both in agreement that this OKC team has a massive, massive advantage, as Denver just finished a really, really tough series against the Clips. At least in game one is what we're saying. Massive advantage in game one with that rest.
Right. And that's why I'm thinking Denver's going to start slow. I think the first half under is a look here. 115 is a pretty high total. And I mean, if you want to go under for the game, it's 225, because I don't know if Denver really hits another gear. If they're down, big at the half, they're probably going to punt, right? So Denver team totals, just so we have the numbers, 54.5 for the half, 107.5 for the game. And the Thunder, when they've had extra rest this season, have held opponents to 99.8 points per game with an absurd 49% true shooting. Just that's impossible. I have not seen true shooting below 50% in any kind of split. That this defense is just on another one. Their games have gone under by an average of 10.6 points per game when they have 4 days rest. They're obviously on 10 days rest. They've been off for a minute. They didn't even really have to take Memphis seriously. But these totals are a little bit inflated, partially because Denver finished strong against Harden's Clippers with a 125 offensive rating the last 3 first halves, and including a ridiculously good game in game 5. And partially because the Thunder just played Memphis, which is a pathetic defensive outfit, right? And you could say the Nuggets were too. Their playoff defense has been a different animal. It's been something to respect, at least. Aaron Gordon missed 2 of the 4 games against OKC this season. They played opening night, and it was a defensive battle. We were at 109 at halftime. There were only 70 total points in the second half. No Nuggets scored above 16, I think. So, Jokic now coming into this with another 16-point game against Zoo. We're interested to see how much it was Zoo and how much Jokic is just a little out of rhythm right now. He's just missing a lot of shots that he usually makes. He's not that unstoppable playoff force coming into this. But really, the Thunder defense is not going to give you much. If you look at last playoffs, they went 9-1 to the under at this number in the first half. If you look, they played at a 95 pace, as did the Nuggets. If you look at the Nuggets, they're 18-1 to the under in this first half number since the start of last playoffs. Both teams have a 107 defensive rating, right? This is not the Nuggets of the regular season that plays these 120 offensive rating type games. They actually can buckle down a little bit, and we know OKC has pretty much the best defense in recent memory.
That's it, man. That's what to me it comes down to, is that this defense, it is what it is. It reminds me of the Warriors, the first season that they won a chip. Different in that the offenses are completely differently constructed, but not different in that the Dubs had a top 5 offensive rating and defensive rating. And no one ever talks about the fact that they were top 5 in defensive rating. And in fact, in every single championship that they won the chip that year, they were in the top 10 in defensive rating. So there's a common denominator here between teams that we just look at their offense and we go, good luck stopping this offense with the star power that they have on the starting lineup. And then the ability to score coming off the bench as well with Joe and obviously Aaron Wiggins as well. And those type of guys, they never stop. But really what we should just start the conversation with, and should be the most prevailing thing we talk about, is this defense is a menace. It's swarming. It's one of the best, not only in recent memory, in the history of the NBA when you look at it. So it's just going to continue to be a problem for Denver, whether you're talking about a center or a point guard. It's going to be a problem for the opposing teams playing this Thunder team for the rest of this season. But let me go ahead and kick it off with a player prop and take an over on a guy that I think is going to be really crucial in this series, to be honest. That is Russ Westbrook. You can get his over rebounds and assists. That's a combination there. It's 8.5 is where we're at with that one. And I'm starting with the over for him. I think, look, it's not really specifically Michael Porter Jr. necessarily, or Jamal Murray or anybody that I think he's coming in for and taking their minutes. But I do think that you want 2 defenders of that sort of athleticism between him and CB. I think they're both really, really, really important for this one, especially when you look at the expectations that we have for Jamal Murray where he's going to have to come and prove that he's capable of doing superhuman playoff stuff against this team now. And I would argue this is the best defense he's played in his playoff career when it comes to defending guards. So for Russ, like I think they're going to need him in there for, I think he's got like 25 to 29 minutes coming his way. And look, we got to put an asterisk next to his stuff head to head against them this season, because he flew over this consistently in terms of the rebounds and the assists. They're both numbers that he's hit very consistently against this team. There's 4 games, 3 of them Aaron Gordon either didn't play or played 6 minutes and got hurt, and so really basically didn't play. First game of the season, they lost by 15. Russ gets 21 minutes. He doesn't get too much garbage time. He got like 2 minutes of garbage time, but for the most part, like he just got a shortcut rotation with the starters, still put up really good numbers in that first one against them as well in that 21 minutes. And it's one game, but I'm really at least looking at it going like, well, is he capable of doing this if he doesn't get 33, 32 minutes like he was in the other games where Gordon's missing and he's not getting the same usage? And I think the answer is unequivocally yes. Like, because if you're going to talk about someone besides CB coming in to help guard SGA, I think it has to be Russ. I know you're not going to put Jamal on him, and I don't think Peyton Watson is going to be that matchup. As much as he might be good for him, the best option on defense specifically, they've proven that they don't want P-Watt out there for more than like 11 minutes at a time to just throw another look at that defender, which is why Russ stays in the mid to high 20s. And there's always the possibility either MPJ still not fully healthy and ready, as good as he looked in this last game, still wasn't like killing it, just hit a couple wide open shots. And the other option is like, is he not athletic enough in terms of quickness and ability to stay in front of the guys that they're going to be forced to stay in front of whomever he's looking at, because they're going to also be hunting him on some switches. So I think Russ is someone you can't hunt as much. He's going to bring it. He's going to hopefully get them in transition as much as they can. He's the dude doing that for them, as we know, and it's way better to play against this. They are like the number one transition defense, so it's not going to be easy, but I think you'd rather play in transition against the Thunder than you would in the half court against that D.
Yeah, and he's going to bring the energy if the Nuggets are, pulling the plug like we think is a possibility if they get waxed early. The fact that Russ comes off the bench and has that kind of only one gear means like he probably has a little more opportunities than some of the starters, some of the older guys, even though he is also a veteran. But I think he's more than happy. He's got fresher legs, I think, than the Nikola Jokic or Jamal Murray's of the world, who, I was on under 26.5 points and assists for Jamal. I see it's already down to 25.5. I think you can take the full PRA 30.5 under here. But as we know, lead ball handlers have been getting swallowed up by OKC all year. They are, just to heap more praise on the defense, number 1 opponent field goal percentage on the handoff play, and number 2 on pick and roll ball handlers. But handoff is really like the bread and butter for Jamal and Jokic, right? He actually had an over in that second game against OKC. That it was that weird home where Denver came back and scored 140 on this defense, caught him snapping a little bit. I think that was more an anomaly than the rule. Prior 6, he averaged 14.7, only 3 boards, only 6 assists in a full slate of minutes. Shot 27% from 3 against this OKC defense, only 2 free throw attempts a game. And now we had the physicality of these playoffs, like that are even more physical than last year, where Murray got kind of erased by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, remember Nah and Jaden just like absolutely putting the clamps on him. He was 5-2 to the under in that series in terms of this prop, but averaged 18.4, 4.4, even fewer free throw attempts earned from the officials, was a minus 46. And so now, like, OKC, I would argue is better than those two guys in terms of perimeter, and I would argue that the officiating in general has been more leeway. Like, especially the last 2 games for the Nuggets, they were just getting clobbered like by the Clippers, and then the officials were just totally fine with it, and that made it tough for Jamal to really get going. If you exclude his Game 5 eruption, like the best game of his playoff career, some have said, he averaged 19.5 and 5.5 against the Clips. And that was in a much better matchup because the Clips were kind of mortgaged offensively, forced to play some guys that weren't as good defensively. They didn't play as much Dunn and Derek Jones to just hound Jamal Murray. And the Thunder don't have to worry about that. Like, everybody they throw out there is a hound, and it's going to make it really tough on Jamal.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be my pick. I mean, look, there's going to be a couple games at least. You kind of called it out. There's a couple where he did his thing, and there's going to be a couple in this series overall. But I think when we say a couple, then we're still saying that the majority of the time here, the better play is not going to be to back him too often to get both of these the points and the assists. And that's the thing we talk about is like who is the Thunder, one of those defenses where they're just going to pressure the crap out of the ball. I don't see them quite as much as like Ime Udoka's Rockets or formerly Ime Udoka's Celtics being a team that like, or Bud, right? Budenholzer forcing the ball into a specific player's hands. I think they're a little bit less concerned with that than those teams, but they still are going to clearly leave certain guys open to make sure other guys don't. And there's going to be three dudes who are responsible for like Jamal and Jokic when they're running that, because like you said, they kill that dribble handoff. And part of the reason is their ability to fight over and their ability to come from the opposite wing and just fly in and double and triple team and force steals that way. So a guy that I think is going to be an open outlet is Christian Brown. And he's proven that during the season against this team in a couple ways. So I'm going to take his points over 12.5, which coming off a series against the Clips, I mean, he had great games in the last two. Prior to that, he had been horrific against that team. So we started seeing his prop drop as low as like 10.5, and we get back up to 12.5. And I'm like, oh man, that's a little high. And they're like, wait, no, it isn't. This is a 15.5 points per game guy. And if you put him in the right situation, which he was in the last two, where it was like his shot came back, he hit a couple of threes, he was doing everything else as well in terms of rebounding and getting some dimes. And that brought his confidence right back. And that's where I think he is now. And if we talk about them on the worst possible scenario against the Thunder, where they've just been sitting there resting and waiting for them, and you got this team coming up a bludgeon series, the young buck, what is he, like 21? Like he looks 19, but like let's say he's 20. Like he's fresh, he's ready to go. This is one of the guys that you're like, I'm not too worried about his legs in this one. Obviously, it's not a great matchup for ball handling and stuff like that. So the assists, while they've been there for him in this series a couple of times, I think it's just the spot up stuff. And the key here is that he's taking more shots against this team than he does against other teams on the season as a whole, right? In terms of like 13 shots per game for him when he goes up against this squad, as opposed to about 10 shots per game on the season for him. Still getting to 15 points per game because he's also averaging about 2.5 free throw attempts against them as well. And like we talk about Russ being one of the important, if not the most important catalyst for them to get out into transition. This is going to be part of the running mate. And he is a guy that's been able to get a lot of rebounds. Plus, look, man, the minutes are going to be there. He's SGA's defender. He proved that during the regular season. We might see some like Aaron Gordon at time switching, but Aaron Gordon's going to be on J-Dub. That's what they showed when they actually played him in the season, is that they'd rather have him on J-Dub, put MPJ on Chet. We'll see how that goes in general, but on both sides of the floor, I think these teams have some spaces, some places on offense that they can score against each other, and I think CB is going to be one of the main ones.
Yeah, you saying that makes me like some Chet props even more. I know they're all like juiced to the over. Yeah. Though, but yeah, MPJ, I don't think is long for this defensively. OKC will give up the corner three, right? So that does, at face value, favor him a little bit more than Brown, who's going to take the above the break three. But they are going to, like you say, like pinch down on the Jokic Murray action and just see if these other guys can hit. Like, just be like, all right, prove it. Like it's going to be a lot of prove it for Brown and Russ. So if you want to add the points to what you're saying with Russ, like the opportunity will be there, and these guys have not been scared thus far.
Yeah. The points are low for Russ too. If we give him 25 to 30 minutes in that range, then I agree with that entirely. But yeah, those are two guys that I'm looking at to be the outlets. We'll see if Jokic comes out and just like fires away. Like I'm not going to just fire a ton of bets off on game one when I do want to see a little bit how it works. But keep in mind, if Denver does get down enough within the third quarter, we think they punt early, give their vets some rest, and then get them ready for game two to try to steal one in OKC. Because if they do, they got a legit shot at extending this series pretty far. But that's all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure you are subscribed to that channel so you don't miss out on the other Monday night game we have up for you with the Knicks and Celtics, and plenty of action coming throughout the week here as we get into the conference semis moving forward. So until we see y'all next, happy betting.